Yo, what's up? This is Brady with Kansas City TCG. We're going over a top 8 deck profile from the Des Moines, Iowa Regional. What's your name? What'd you play?
My name is Cember. I played Heat Soul Kashtira, and I came in fifth place because Konami tiebreakers do not like me whatsoever.
Word. So, how did your tournament go? What record did you have?
The tournament went pretty well. I went 7-1. I won my first 7 matchups. I'd say 4 or 5 of which were Snake Eyes Fire King. And lost on table 1 to the winner, Bruce. Shout out to Bruce for lightning storming the hell out of me in game 2 and securing his much needed win.
Word. All right, let's go over the deck. Oh, there's the cat as well.
All right, we'll start with the main deck. The engine was super standard. Thanks to Konami for bringing Unicorn back to 3. Everyone knows
intensive.
Very skill heavy. My round 6 opponent was very silly and played 1 Promethean Princess in his extra deck, and this card said you don't get to do that, and so he really had a hard time winning because of that. So thanks Konami for bringing that back to 3. 3 Fenrir, very standard. It's one of the best cards in the game. Everyone probably wants to get banned. 3 Rise Heart for consistency. This card is really good. It lets you play around Troll. It also can take out a lot of really important one-ups in your opponent's deck. When I played Bruce, he kind of made a big joke about how we talk about the cards that got banished in game 2, and one of the cards that got hit was his one of Garunix, which was huge. And obviously the one of Scareclaw. Honestly, this card could theoretically be the MVP of the deck. It just negates effects and it's non-activating. So as soon as you declare an effect, especially if it's a non-monster that can't be targeted, this card takes care of it. So that's it for the cash monsters.
Anything you change there?
I'm actually really thinking of putting Ogre and Prep back into the deck. I talked to a friend of mine about it, and he liked it. I like the idea of taking cards out of their deck that they need, plus specialing back cards in your hand during battle phase or whatnot. To continue with the engine, this is also very standard. 4 rates off, 3 rates off, and 1 terraforming. This plays into Droll. Shout out to everyone's favorite player, Aaron Smith, for letting me know that in the middle of round 6 after I shifted, so it didn't matter. 3 Berts, one of the best cards and most unfair cards in the game. Not much really to explain about this card. Everyone hates it. I always want to see it when I play it. 3 Theosis, and then I count 3 Prosperity as well into the engine. This card also helps dig into non-engine, but this is all super standard in Kashtira.
Does a 3 Theo ever brick?
3 Theo can, which is why you side 1 out. But I never had that issue, so I guess I can thank the variance gods for that day. So we'll move on to non-engine. Obviously the best hand trap in the format. Everyone's favorite card, Dimension Shifter.
No, the skill card.
Yes, I activate this card. My opponents very internally get upset. It's very obvious. But believe it or not, I actually only resolved Shifter 3 times in the tournament. I believe if I had resolved it more, specifically in round 8, I could have won the regional. 3 Ash, also standard, can play under this card. And then a card that a lot of cash players don't really play with Shifter is 3 Droll. This format is super search heavy, especially with Snake Eyes Fire King being relevant in the format. Everyone searches. Shout out to a friend of mine, Alec Hoven. Unfortunately, Droll kind of ended his life in game 3, round 5. Just activated Bonfire, he searched, and I didn't open this, but I opened this and I drolled him, and I had Droll in Imperm and he lost the game because of it. Alec also just did dirty. The regional had to play all of his friends, so shout out to him. He should have gotten his invite. And then 3 Imperm. These 9 are very standard. After talking it over with a few people, we did a lot of changes, and we put 3 Droll back in the deck because we felt it was best. And so that's it for the hand traps. There's 5 more cards. We'll go over them now. We played 2 tactics. This card was pretty good. I sadly can't remember how many times I saw it or didn't. There was at least one time where I took a card out of my opponent's hand. But the one time this card was really good was round 7 against my Kashtira mirror opponent. He had a Fenrir out there. He just ended up ashing like my Theosis or something, or one of my cards. And I took his Fenrir, used it to help do a bunch of damage, and I overlaid for Flare Metal with 1,100 life points left. So this card is always pretty good in cash, especially with Droll, because it helps you, take cards out of your opponent's hand so that you do not lose and it gets back to you. And then the last tech that we played was evenly matched in the main deck. This never came up in game 1. Oddly enough, I won 5 dice rolls in my 8 matches, and in the 3 that I lost, I never really saw this going second. And from what I recall, if I did, I really wasn't able to use it that well. The one time it was crazy was my round 3 opponent. Shout out to Mark Miller, incredible dude. I shifted him. This was one of the 3 games I shifted, and so he kind of set up a board of like SP, the Snake Eyes Field Spell, and 4 set, and he passed to me, and he flipped anti-spell, and so with only SP on the board, I had this in my hand, and I evenly the hell out of his board, and he sat on anti-spell. And then he kept drawing into bricks, and then eventually had Pot of Prosperity. And so that won me the game. I will be changing this going forward. It's either a side deck card or a not of like just not play at all. Did not see it very much.
Okay.
So that's the main deck.
How many cards?
40.
40 flat.
Even. You have to play 40. Kashtira has a really hard time bricking. Some people play the Pot of Desires to go along with the 3. I don't believe in that. We were originally going to play Cross Out because the deck loses so hard to Imperm and Droll, but the more that my circle and I talked about it, the more it seemed unnecessary. So moving on to the extra deck, I played the Heat Soul package, so you have Decode Talker Heat Soul, G-Golem Crystal Heart, 2 Link Spider, IP Masquerena, and SP. SP's not really part of the package. You do IP into this. Going forward, I think I'm going to cut this. It is pretty cool, but I only made it twice. One was in round 2 against a horrendous Pearly player, and the other was against Mark, who nibbed the shit out of me. And that felt really bad because it basically made me lose the game. So I think while this is really cool and this card helps you draw into non-engine and it's a big body, I think it just is very nib susceptible. I don't know how many people are going to be playing nib, but it ruined my that specific game, so I do not want to do it anymore. But I think the idea itself is cool. Shout out to Luke Tyler. Xyz Monsters, number 76, Harmonizer Gradial, one of my favorite cards in the game. This card is absolutely bananas. Whatever material you make with this, it becomes the attribute to go along with light. And it can't be destroyed by battle or activated card effects of any monsters that share an attribute with that. So I had a game where I had a fire under it, and my opponent literally was like, I don't know how to deal with this. It also has another really cool effect where you can target a card in your opponent's graveyard, and you detach a card from this and attach the one that you targeted. And that's huge against fire decks. It's huge against Orcust. I'd not run into Orcust at the regional, but I did run into a ton of fire decks, and this was super, super relevant. Big Eye, I did not go into this very much at all. It got taken out of my extra deck against the Cash player. The second MVP of the day, Dark Armed Dragon of Annihilation. If I cut the Heat Soul package, I am highly considering moving this up to 2. This is the deck's best board breaker. Its effect is not once per turn. There's also a lot of really insane lines you could do with this if you have a Theosis engrave, because it banishes after you destroy with this card. Other standard cards, Zeus, self-explanatory. Typhon, did not make either of these once. Oh, okay, sorry, that's a lie. I made this against Bruce, but I was already dead. I kind of just had to go through plays to see if I could break through his board, and I did, but unfortunately he had too much follow-up, so it didn't matter. We scooped right after that. Shang, gotta play it. It goes crazy with the field spell when you have it. Dracosac, This card facilitates the Heat Soul combo. Plus, if you get skill drained, it outs it, which is pretty good. One of my favorite cards in the game, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. My round 7 opponent was a Kashmir, and if you can't swing for game, you kind of just overlay into this and put him on a clock. And my opponent had 1,100 life points, so he had 2 effects, and so he uses 2 effects. I judgmented his Fenrir, and we'll go over that in the side deck. And he lost the game. And the last card is just the Synchro Baron. This card used to be Access Code Talker, but it turns out this comes up like way more than Access Code Talker. If your opponent trolls you, if you open like a copy of Unicorn, the Ash, and the Birth, you can normal summon this, make Unicorn, and then you can actually full combo if things go the right way. So that's the extra deck. It was really good. Like I said, the only thing I'm going to try to change is I think I'm going to take out the Heat Soul combo. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. I wouldn't change much.
Word. What about your side? Let's see what's going on there.
Side was really cool. I played this card, 3D Fisher. This was my favorite card to side in going first to go with Shifter. And the reasoning behind this, and I'll go over this in my shout-outs to the people who like really mattered with this, is we decided that my best odds of winning in this format is if I saw Shifter. This card is essentially another version of Shifter. Obviously, the spells and the traps don't go, but it increases your odds of seeing either this card or Shifter from 33% to 57%. Somehow the cards still never want to see my hand, so it doesn't matter. But this card came up quite often, like it would have come up. I didn't see it. It mattered the most against Mark in Game 2. He kind of blew me out with that nib in Game 1. Game 2, I sided this in, activated it. He had to use his Cosmic on it. I drew into another one, and we sat in a simplified game state for a while because this card just completely shut him out. So in this format, this card's crazy. However, after talking to someone else I know who knows the deck really well, this is going to change to Macrocosmos going forward because it covers the spells and traps as well. Next card was Ghost Bell. This was mandatory in the side deck because we cut it from the main. For room for a board breaker, like evenly, even though it didn't matter. This card won me my Game 2 against Labyrinth in round 4. My man set 3 and passed. I drew my card for turn. I had this in my original hand. He flips Big Welcome. I bell him, and his other 2 cards were irrelevant, so he lost the game. This card also obviously can be used to make Baron if you absolutely need it, and is also good. It hits the Flamberge, things like that. It only really came up against the Labyrinth player, though. 3 Lava Golem in a match against the person who's holding the camera right now at locals. I got absolutely destroyed by Noir. And so I was like really tilted about this. So I decided I needed a card that could just out it or just out any other problems. So there was that. But that's the reason I played this. It'll probably, I think I'm going to keep it in because it takes care of problems that like you normally wouldn't be able to out otherwise. The other MVP of the deck going first is Solemn Judgment. If you're playing Kashtira, I think this is mandatory. A mandatory 3 of going first side. The deck hard loses to board breakers, whether it's Lightning Storm, shout out to Bruce, or evenly, which never happened, or just anything else that's kind of pesky. Like I judgmented a Talents in the regional as well, which was really nasty. That kind of saved me. You have to play this if you're playing Kashtira going first. And then the last 3 are also mandatory. There's Cosmic Cyclone, good against Lab, good against Snake Eye Fire King, basically good against everything. So that's the deck, yeah. I obviously talked about the changes I would make, but I thought it was incredibly consistent. I don't really think, I don't know if it's just variance or whatever it is. I really didn't brick much or at all most of the day. And I like to outperform. I think it's the anti-meta choice. It's a tier 1 deck.
Cool. Any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, big thanks to like everyone in my circle. So Adam Demadzik, Brady, who's holding the camera right now, Chris, Michael, Brian, Tom, everyone at the Geekery, anyone who reached out just to congratulate me, everyone who supported me, who isn't even involved in Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's GMB, the original CFH team, Bash as well. Didn't want to forget him. He's one of my good friends. Everyone who I just mentioned, their support, their help, hours of testing just meant the absolute world to me, as this was one of my goals. So their input, again, their support was absolutely invaluable, and I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much. I guess we'll see you next time.
Sure will.